Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday weekly webinar coming up on, just looked at the calendar, looks like more than 2 years already on this stuff. And it's been going pretty well. I hope you guys are enjoying the service. I enjoy doing it, so far so good. If you want to, pass along some friends and invite them along, have somebody email me or whatever. The link is in the Twitter and all that fun stuff. Anyway. We had a pretty interesting week, really one-directional pretty much if we look at the charts over here, small little, looking at the daily chart over here, small little rises, rallies, getting back to the level, just getting there. And that means we haven't had the test that I've been talking about just yet. We got to the 26 and change level that I was looking for last week. It just happened really slow, which means we just put everything on pause, and the rest of the reaction is what should be happening this coming week. And what we're still looking for now is the test of this supply zone that was created on the weekly chart when we broke down out of these bottoms over here. And you can see that we had a one-directional bounce straight up back into the supply. That's an automatic short, by the way. Okay, and we're just about arriving into the zone. On the weekly chart, the zone's fairly large, 05 to 86. Right, so there's still some room up there. It looks like on the daily chart we have it going up to around 26.16. I'm thinking more like maybe at this point the way that we've arrived into the zone really slow. I didn't have that big force and pop right in there that we're going to get a pierce of this actual zone of the 16 area. More likely going to turn around somewhere around here. The convergence of the 50 average and the top of the Bollinger Bands are going to converge somewhere around this part of the zone. There's like a double layer zone over here, right? It goes all the way up to 26.86 and change, but you could look back over here, it's level on level on a daily chart, and this area sitting on top of or underneath this area, this one is going to be right here. And it's right in this area where we're watching this happen. So I'm going to say around 26.50. which is sort of around midway through this area on the weekly chart is where we're going to end up with this pullback that I'm talking about on the test all the way back to this level that was created over here on the smaller time frames. All right, that's what we should be looking for this week. So a rally continuing, chopping its way up through this beginning of the zone, and then somewhere around 26.50, when we get really back to over here, you can see where the real bottom of the candles are. It's right around that 26.50. That's the area that we're going to look for this thing to turn over, a test of potentially 200 ES points, all the way back to 24.50, which is really large. Could it stop before then? Yeah, it's possible. If we look here, over here at the, at the 240 chart, 2,500 and change. There's a nice looking zone that we just broke out of last week. So if we continue this slow churn up here, it's possible that we only pull back into the 25.50. The daily chart is saying 24.50. So, it's at least 100 points sell-off, at least. More likely to, probably going to get down to the 2,500 and change, because what we're trying to do over here is create a major bottom. Where if we're going to try to catapult back to new highs, we have to confirm something on some serious time frames. So we can't just really leave just this level hanging out over here and this a bottom, and then we just pull back and something some little smaller time frame over here stops us, and then we really expect a new high. That's unlikely to happen. All right, we have to confirm this bottom down here on the weekly chart. That's going to happen when we backtest into this area over here, which is really the 24.50. Okay, so more likely that's the pullback area. For now, we can stay long. We're looking for around 26.50, and then the pullback to occur. And I think that should happen this week. Okay, so that's what we're looking for now. So again, as we're trading through the smaller time frames, we're still allowed to buy pullbacks in demand. The supply zone, our target was really nice this week. It worked out really well, and pulled up into the zone. This is our little zone from last week, right? And sold off fairly decently, and then it worked again, and it still hasn't really been pierced just yet. We're fighting against this 2,600. I think it's going to break at this point, again, because of the reaction that we're getting up here, and the way we're watching the zone, just make smaller, sell-offs, higher lows. We haven't made the higher high yet, but this is doing this, right? And that should break out this way, pushing us up into the next levels up there. I'll pull down a little bit and we'll look at the zones. Sorry about not doing a live session again, but some family things going on, and my family was not feeling too well. And Sunday morning is my time to visit, so right around here. Okay, that's the level we're looking for. Okay, so yeah, you can see it's coming in right around the 2650 is what I'm talking about. I'm at 35 to 44 in my 60 chart. So right up in this area, I think, is the spot we're going to see. So we could get a nice pop out of this, you know, a good 40, 50 points. And then we start the slow descent back, all the way back down there. So longs until we hit this level, and then once we see the smaller time frames start reversing out of this zone is when we want to start the shorts, because that's the swing short, right? That's this level up here is in the middle of that weekly supply zone that I showed you before, and that's the one that we're gonna try to get into, because it's gonna be a really nice ride down. Okay, that's cool. Get this back to what we're looking for and take a look at the 15 chart. And you can see what I mean by, like, there's no real big candles on this, at least for the last couple of days. You know, just nice little chopping, churning, pulling into the supply, pulling back, popping up around there. You know, when you're getting a nice pullback, this was a great long from last week. I think this zone down here, awesome. This one seemed to work fairly well as well. I just drew a little while ago. So and now really there's nothing else after this. So this really should just be, you know, sort of more of a breakout into the top, and then the pullback starts again. Okay, so if we do get a nice little pop up here, you know, then we can start looking for pullbacks in this area for a chance to join the longs as we make our way up to the 2650, and then again, as we watch the smaller time frames start to put in their top and make lower highs and lower lows, we're going to start shorting and aiming back again for that 2450. Okay, that's our ES for this week. Again, feel free to email, Skype, you know, text, whatever. If you have a question, feel free. And let's move on to the NASI. Okay, so looking at the NASDAQ, you can see as well that we're in the same mode, obviously. One move back off the bottom, straight up, and about to arrive into this weekly supply zone. Right, same idea. We had a very slow rally over here the last week or so. And again, we're coming into resistance. You can see the convergence again of the average and the top of the Bollinger Bands pushing their way in, and we're almost at the supply. So again, this level that we're at now, I think, is going to pierce. We're likely to push up into this, you know, close to 6,800. I think it's more like 6,750-ish or so. You'll see on the smaller time frames that we're going to get probably right to the bottom of this doji area over here, and again, then the pullback will come. And again, targeting 6,200, so a fairly nice pullback. And the logic again behind this again is that if we're really going to, you know, make it a run for these highs back here, we have to build a base down here. We have to have a bottom. We have to pull back, make a higher low, something to lean on. We can't just keep going like this, because then we're going to just end up crashing when we turn over. There's nothing to stop this after that. So the bulls are going to build a bottom here. The bears are going to start testing. Bulls have to build us a bottom, something higher lows to be able to catapult off of, to be able to get back up here. Otherwise, it just doesn't work, right? But the rally will eventually fizzle, and we'll end up breaking the bottom because there's nothing to stop it. So healthier that we should pull back and make a higher low if the rally is real. So for us, we should expect, again, this is going to pierce this where we're sitting at, and we're going to get a little higher, and then we're going to see this pullback come in here and test this area. Before I forget to mention it, this week's Wednesday webinar is being rescheduled to Tuesday. It is also a live trading day, so we'll do it on Tuesday this week. I'm going to be traveling Tuesday night for 10 days or so, so I want to get a live trading session in before we do that. And after that, the webinar will be recorded while I'm away. And then, so I'll be away till Sunday the 7th or so, like that. So this coming Tuesday, we'll do an 8:30 a.m. webinar and live trading session at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I will send out an email reminder. Okay. Let's look at the NASDAQ on the smaller time frames. Again, you can see that we've got this little churning rally going on. And we're about to arrive into the supply. This is the level I think is going to turn us around over here. We're almost there. We've been chopping. We're pushing our way up there, and then I think we're going to hit this. It's right around, you can see, around 6,700 to 37 and change. It's where we turned over here. It's a fresh supply, and that's the one that should give us a pushback over here. It looks like this is the level that needs to get tested, right down here. Okay, so we'll watch for that this coming week. Again, we can buy pullbacks on smaller time frames up into this level around 6,700 and change, and then look for the smaller time frames to reverse, and you start your shorts and get a nice pullback all the way down to 62 change. Oops. Down into this thing right here. Pretty little doji. There we go. Okay. So that's our NASI. Again, feel free to email or send questions. And let's take a look next at crude. Okay, looks like I forgot to turn on the timer, so I'm starting from crude. Adjust yourself accordingly if you're looking for a specific part of the video, so sorry about that. In the meantime, we had a fairly nice rally on crude, but look where we ended up. Exactly what we thought was going to happen. Bounced back into the supply zone. This is a weekly supply. Again, this is all one move down, and a really, really strong move. So I think we should even, we should see a back test here and a hold, and then a rally. I think we're going to probably see 55 potentially this coming week. I think at the end of the day, the target zone for this rally is probably 60. It's going to be a bumpy ride getting there, and the first bump we've just hit. And it needs to go back now and test the lows of, the breakout from 50. So we get all the way to 53 and change. We've hit the supply. We started to have a fairly strong sell-off on Friday. It was really nice. We get the pair of twins up there and the inverted hammer. And again, you can see this is all one move up over here. This is going to cause a pullback. Should get us at least to 50. 50 is the number that we were banging at for weeks over here, back here, right? And then we just pierce it, and we're going to back test. And I think we, on the small time frames, it's a little under 50. 49 change, I'll show you the level. I think we hold that level. Okay, so it's shorts for now, even though it's a little counter trend on some of the time frames we'll show you to you, but shorts into the 49 and change area, almost 50, and then a bounce coming back to 55. And then we'll have to see what happens when we get up there, what the rally all the way up looks like. But that's what we should be looking for here. You can see as we go down to some of the time frames, there's really just a lot of air under us over here, and it's a pretty straight shot down. Actually, there's a zone over here. I should be drawing out the chart, which I'll do in a second. Right around here, this is the level that we're looking for, the 60. If you look to the left, you see it was actually a supply zone. It became a demand zone over here. And that's the spot we're looking for. So we're right now at 51 and change. We should see a continuation down to the 49. Wow, 78 is exactly the zone I'm looking for in the smaller time frame. That's interesting. It's actually the bottom of the Bollinger Band on 240 chart. So that's where there's a zone. I'll show it to you in a second. That's the area I believe we're going to head back up here. We're going to take this out. This higher low that's going to be formed will give us the power to pop through the top over here, and we're looking for a 55 print. Okay. So shorts down into this 50 area, and then longs up at the 55. Okay, let's take a look at this in the smaller time frames. This is the zone that we've hit on Friday. Beautiful sell-off. We traded a short on a smaller time frame on this, the wick. I tweeted that out on Friday. We'll take a look at that. But this has got, 49.93 and change on the 60 chart, but the 15 chart is slightly underneath us. It's just over here, which I think is the area we're looking for. So this should become a base drop, hit our zone, and then we start to reverse it up the other way. Okay, so we're going to look for that to occur. We could still be short for now. There's room underneath us, another $2 down, and then we will begin to look for the longs. This is the short we traded on Friday, right inside this zone. And here, and on the way down, boom, and this is the level I'm talking about. think this is where we're going. The fresh demand is here. There was some demand here, but it's been hit once, right? And then this one is just really the wick. It's a nice strong move, but already have gotten close to that, starting to make lower highs, we're creating supply on the way down. There's going to be a new supply zone fairly soon over here, right, once we break down out of this. So this level, I think, does not hold. This one's not fresh. This is the exact number of 50, though. That one always will get pierced because they know all the stops are hiding under there. 49.70 looks to be like the spot where I would think it's time to get long after they hit all the 50 stops. And we get into the zone, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so somewhere down here is the long that it's going to start on the way. For now, on the way down, we can look for the shorts. Okay? Which, if you're still holding your short from up here, I would tell you hold on to it. And if you're not, so then sell the rallies until we get down into that 50 area, and then start looking for reversal on smaller time frames. So that's our crude. And what's up next? Gold. Yeah, not much happening this week in gold. Let's go take a look. Okay, so as we can see for gold, really on the weekly candle, we had this inverted hammer, was unable to break down, so likely is to give some support and push us up, right? And you see the supply is really just above us. We know we're going to get up here. We haven't really broken too far away from the 1300. We've got some resistance. We're banging against the bottom of the zone. It's going to pop. We're going to end up inside there, and then we're going to get a decent pullback. Maybe to the 1260 level. There's a really nice open gap area a little bit on this 1560 chart down here. That's really coinciding with a fantastic spot for the swing longs. So I'm thinking we're going to get some kind of more churning area, maybe small pullbacks. Again, we're not going to break down, I don't think, into this level until after we've already hit the supply. All right, so we're looking at this over here on the weekly chart. It's going sideways. You can see it. We're inside this range over here. You can see the range. It's fairly large. It's 1300 down to 1280. It's $20 range, and it's chopping around. It's making some serious highs up here, a little double tops, but it's still making some higher lows so far. So it's really undeciding, trying to figure out which way it wants to go. It looks like it should be a breakout to the upside. Not much more than 1305. I don't think we're going to get all the way to the top of the zone. I think probably 1310 or so, and then the big pullback comes and brings us all the way back to like 1260. Let's take a look. There's our daily chart. Let's blow it up a little bit. Yeah, so there's the 13 level. It's 1312. That's the number right up here. We should be getting up into that. Okay, it's this dodgy little area. That's the supply. That's going to push us backwards, and it should bring us all the way back to here, like 1260-ish. Okay, so we're looking for that to happen hopefully this week. We're going to watch this churning. We can, if you have the stomach to sit through this, you can buy some pullbacks into demand and watch this get up there. Otherwise, wait for the short of the 13 and change. That one will be pretty rapid sell-off. Let's see if there are any zones that make sense to look at. Actually, we skipped the 240 chart. Let's go back for a sec. Here's our 240 chart, and we'll blow that up a little bit. And so there's the demand that we've been holding for, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. At this previous breakout area where we had all this basing going on, and we've held it here, we've held it here, we've held it here. And we haven't broken out of the top just yet, but we're still holding the lows. So, as long as we hold this, or, this trend line, uptrend, or whatever, we don't break underneath this 1278, we're going to break to the top. We're going to hit that supply, and then we're going to come all the way back down. See this little open gap area over here? 1260, fresh demand, a little gap. That's the spot, prior high breakout. So that's what we should be seeing, something like this, up into the zone, and then selling, and then this is where you want to start your next swing leg up, around 1260. Let's go check it out on the other time frames. There's our range-bound price action currently sitting between 98 and 78, $20 range, right? It's like $1,300. There's a supply. There's a demand holding off these levels back underneath us. Okay, and this is our range, back inside, back and forth, back and forth. You could play inside this range on the extremes if you so desire. When we're ready to break out of the top, we have about 10, 12 bucks to the upside, and then the shorts would start bringing us all the way back. Here's the gap I'm talking about, right here. Okay, that's the zone where you look this next swing down on the higher time frame to turn back around, create the higher low, and start the rallies again. Okay. That's gold. Let's go take a quick look at the dollar, which we need to be rallying since I'll be traveling overseas. We want the dollar nice and strong because it really gets cheaper for me. And it looks like that might be the case. So we pulled back a little bit over here on the weekly candle. It was still a red candle, but it started to hold on Friday. We got into some serious demand. There's a little demand back here on the daily chart. The 200 average is right there, and we immediately put these twins down on the daily and room to run. Okay, so there's room. You can see it on the 240. We've already created the higher low for demand. Looking like next level that we have to defeat is around 95.8 or so, which means we're going to get back to this area of the breakout area, which means this is going to just become a nice little higher low over here, and this is going to rally for us. We should be getting back to, supply up here at least, which is this level. So we're watching this as it develops. There's longs over here for the dollars, which is short for the rest of our currencies. That sort of fits with our gold actually pulling back, so we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's take a look at the euro and see where the reversals are coming from. So, taking a look at the euro, we have an interesting week. We had a nice green candle going right up into the supply zone on the weekly chart, and then we give most of it back. We turned it into inverted hammer, we hit twins, and it looks like the selling pressure is back on again for the euro. On the daily chart, we hit the trend line to perfection. All right. Over here, and we immediately turn around, twins, inverted hammer, air underneath us. So this is coming back to test minimum here, and more likely back here, and then potentially even break the bottom. We don't know yet what happens when we get to the bottom, but it's heading for the bottom now. It's clearly in this channel on the daily chart, and we should be aiming for something around 14 and change down here for this push down. As far as the 240 is concerned, we hit the supply back there. And then we created a drop-based drop, and then we ran into it. Perfect entry. Boom. Big sell-off on Friday. Hope some of you were in that. Again, there's some demand underneath us here, 14 and change, which is this doji area. Right? And that should break, from what I can tell for now, likely to break down out of that thing and, sort of bring us back down to the bottom of the trend line again at 1400 or so. Again, why am I saying that? Because we're coming out of the weekly supply zone. That's why. Okay, the weekly is in a downtrend. We back tested off the bottom and we hit the supply, and now we're selling off. So likely that we break this thing at this point and try to find some new demand underneath us, because these unfresh levels shouldn't really stop this. So we'll see what happens as we get there. But for now, the target will be the bottom of the band. We'll call it the bottom of the trend line, around 14 even, 114. Okay. Let's go see what that looks like for us. A couple of chances to join if you didn't take it from Friday. There's the 60, and looks to me like this level was there, and it was hit on Friday. Drop base drop. Okay, this now has flipped trend. Here on the 15, we've hit some demand on the 15, so maybe we get a pop back into this test. Looks like 15.6 and change. That's going to be a swing entry for us for a short. Right? It's a test of this area that was created when we broke this low, and we pop in there. We start turning around, and then we can aim for 14 and change, almost 1400 even. So that's a really big short. Right? So that looks nice. There's the level on the 5. It's right up here. Right? Top of this little area over here. Let's draw it out so you get the exact numbers. But that's the short we're looking for now for EC. It's to be right here. Hello, what's going on here? There we go. There we go. Boom. So it looks like, yeah, 15,590 is the top of the zone, and 15 is the bottom of the zone, so that's 50 ticks. Not a big, not too expensive fairly nice looking trade. And again, a target of, let's call it 14 even. So nice looking short for euro. Cool. Okay, Aussies next. Okay, looking at the Aussie, we can see that we got a continuation of the giant hammer from last week. Again, remember we broke down into the bottom of this lows down here in the monthly chart, shoot out with a ginormous engulfing and dragonfly candle over here, and then we end up in the supply zone on the weekly chart, a beautiful drop-based drop. No higher lows here. This is still a downtrend, okay? Therefore, we're expecting a sell-off. And we've gotten to the daily supply zone. You can see that. Again, we churned slowly into it, okay? And now we're just waiting for the higher lows to start forming to get into the short, and I think we're almost there. There's a fantastic entry for the short. I love it. It's probably the trade that I like the best this week is an Aussie short. Coming up, I'll show you the zone in a second. I think the target is actually all the way down here. Potentially, if that level doesn't hold, maybe even a chance to test the bottom. But at this point, I think we're probably going to try to create a higher low over here off the bounce and then start to rally a little bit. So I'm going to take the short around 72 and change. I'll show you the level in a sec. And then the target for me will be 7,000. We'll see how it looks as it arrives there, and then decide if I want to push it any further than that. But it's still a 250 ticks at least. Okay, really nice looking trade. It's clean. The zone is fantastic. Let's take a look. I'll go over to the 60 chart. There we go. Okay, so starting on the 60, and you can see that we actually have arrived into the beginning of the zone. We hit our 60 supply from way back when, and we start selling off, and then we create this doji over here, drop, base drop, right? Break down, and then we come back to test it. We closed Friday, just a nice pop at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't mean shit. Where's the demand over here? Oh yeah, there isn't. It looks like shit. There's nothing here. It's all freaking air all the way down to here, and then here's the 7,000, this doji that I keep, you know, the number, it's right at 7,000. Depending on how we get down here, and if it just drops straight down in there, I'll probably exit. If it starts to do this kind of stuff and build supply along the way, I may wait and see if we pop this thing, but I know I want to be short. The entry is really very, very small risk as far as the entry is concerned. If you look at it, this is the entry. It's right here in the 15 chart. And we're almost there. So we'll have to watch how this thing opens on Sunday night. But it is really, what is that, 5 ticks? You know, it won't get better than that. It was level on level. We end up at the first part of, you know, the last few minutes of Friday. They push up there. After we get back to the bottom of this move, we rally back up. Get the supply. We create the lower high out of this zone. Hello, this is a swing trade short all the way down to 7,000. I just showed it to you on the 6. There's no demand over here. It's all garbage. So that's about as pretty as the traders are going to see this week. So look out for it on Sunday night. Okay, keep your eye on that. Not expensive at all. Okay, and a really nice potential short. Again, looking at the higher time frame, look at the 60, all you see is a bunch of channeling shit. There's no real good demand under here. So again, because of this wicked move on the higher time frame, creating all this air under us, once we get down there, it's just free fall. Turnover, free fall, and then you'll see the 7,000 is basically this area over here. On the daily chart where we really were basing prior, that's the area that should get tested, and then we'll figure out if it's going to break or not. But this is still, you know, what is that? Almost 300 points from where we are. 200 and change. Okay? Nice, nice, nice trade for just about 5 ticks of risk. Damn stupid. Okay, cool. Next. Okay, looking at the pounds, we have to know that this week will be extremely volatile. We have to be really careful trading pounds. The 15th, which is Tuesday, there is going to be a Brexit vote on the Brexit plan, and therefore wild swings in pounds. Be very careful. Personally, I don't expect to trade pounds this week unless there's only one thing. Well, not this week, until we have to get, we get that vote out of the way, and then we'll figure out what's going on, because the zones, anything we draw now is nonsense, especially on smaller time frames. The only thing I might be interested in doing is if we should hit this supply zone up here on the weekly chart with this crazy volatility, and this thing decides to shoot up, you know, what is that, 1,000 points almost? Yeah, then I'll talk. You know, short inside in the doji supply up here on the weekly chart. Other than that, you know, anything else is just it's a crapshoot until after they're done with their news event. And so hands off. Don't really want to trade anything here at all. We can see there's some supply coming up at 3,100, 3,000 to 3,100 on the daily chart. But again, that's maybe just too close, depending on what happens over here. We don't know. This thing could shoot to the moon, or it could collapse to the floor. And therefore, too much risk involved for me to risk my money on that. I'm not interested. There's other trades that are a lot prettier and easier, and I don't have to risk all kinds of money to do it. So, hands off on pounds as far as I'm concerned. Only thing I would do is a short inside that weekly supply zone when we hit it over here. That's it. So I'm going to not even discuss this. We'll look at it Tuesday in the webinar, because by then we should have some news about the vote. So, okay, we'll leave the pounds for then, and let's move on to Canadian. Okay, this is another trade that I really like for this coming week. We know that Canadian, let's call it over the last month or so, even more, has been in a downtrend over here, higher time frame. We finally get the strong bounce off of the bottom of this demand over here on the weekly chart, and we run right back and touch the supply. Boom. Right? Look at that. That is about as pretty as a reversal as you're going to see. Okay? Down channel, down channel, down channel. We hit the bottom and we break out at the top. Explosive move. Finally hitting higher time frame supply. What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, we have to come back and test the channel. That's pretty simple. And therefore, we want to catch the shorts at this point once we hit the lower supply zone, lower time frame supply zones. The target is the breakout, which is really at 74,000 even, just around this level over here on the 240 chart. All right? So we're looking for shorts 75,000 and change, 75.5 into 74,000. That's 50, that's 300 plus ticks. Huge move, beautiful. All right, and again, Canadian is not expensive to trade. There's a beautiful supply zone. Love it. It's a great short. Take a look over here. There's our supply on the 60 getting hit and the sell-off beginning. We've come back to the demand. Prior breakout, we start to rally. There is the supply zone. I'm not sure which one of these two is going to do it, but one of them is going to do it. And once it hits, again, they're small, they're tradable, they're both tradable. I'm going to take them both because I don't want to miss this trade, whichever one it is, and it's going to hold price is the one that will get us going. The short is somewhere in this range, and the target is 74,000. Huge short. Okay? That's what we're looking for Canadian. Very, very nice. Next. Yen. Okay, looking at the yen, we can see that we have continuation of the selling pressure from last week after we've hit this big weekly supply. We put in this little doji Harami candle. Okay, but you know, so that sort of doesn't really let us know too much. It is a red candle, so potentially opening down, but there's such a big range over here. We were bound to have a Harami, which was what we did. And when we start to look at some of the other time frames, we start to get a clue of what should be occurring here. There's the big rally, and we come back to the gap area, and we shoot up a little bit, and then we put these twins over here, and looking like we still have a little bit more of this pullback coming before the bounce. So it looks to me like at this point we're looking at potential selling pressure coming back to test this breakout of where, you know, this 91.5 and change. And we look carefully at some of the other time frames to see that that's a really important number, a really important level. Take a look here at the 240 chart. When I zoom out, you'll see that that 91.5 is actually a long-term trend line breakout all the way back here. So, okay, it started way back over here. And all this boom, 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 and then we get it over here again, and then we create the doji over here on the breakout move. Okay, coming in exactly 91.5. I'm going to zoom back in now that you know what we're looking at on that trend line that we had on our chart, and where it's coming from. It goes all the way back to like August. Come on, chart. Can I have some move it? There we go. Now I zoomed in too. Oh, maybe not. Let's pull this over. Back to where we are. Yes. Okay, so you can see the inverted hammer right at 91.5 over there, right at the breakout area where we sold off of the trend line prior. Right? Boom. And then we get this. That's the area we're looking for. So this lower high over here is sort of telling me that we should break this bottom if we come back down here, which is what I expect us to do. Over here, and then bang, and then from here we'll start a rally. All right. So for now, shorts down into the 91.5 area. That's what we're looking for. Let's take a look. 60. Yeah. So the shorts are starting. That was a ridiculous rally. There's the gap that was filled over here. We rally up into the supply. Start selling off, break it down again, and then base, lower high, sell off again. Now there's really not much over here. We'll get a little pause in this area, and then it's just air. You know, maybe a little pause over here, and 91.5, there's the zone. That's the zone. There's the prior highs. There's the demand zone on the way in. On a graph, for an entry, and don't love it so much. We'll have to watch and see for a better looking zone over here. This one just turned around in the middle of nothing. Now it's a zone, but you know, we need to take out the low first. Maybe this doji back here will give us a bounce into some supply that's going to be created maybe over here in this area, right on the way down to come test this. So it's not on the chart yet. So for now, no great entry. We know we want to be short into 91.5. I don't see a great entry yet. We'll have to wait for it to develop. Okay. Let's go look at that gas. Okay, let's take a look up here at that gas. And what do we see? Well, looks to me like, wow. Oh boy. Okay, so we have reached the supply zone we were expecting from last week's webinar. And we were going to bounce up here and sort of hit this gap area that was sitting out there, filling some of the gaps. Looks like we got into it on Friday, which leaves a really interesting proposition. We've got this gap above us, right? Over here, we can see it. And we know Nat Gas loves to gap on Sunday nights. We're in an area we should be bouncing out of. If this thing gaps up and opens above 32.52, we're going to see an island bottom, which is extremely rare and extremely bullish. I mean, wow. I haven't seen one of these in a while, but there's a potential for an island bottom over here with real gaps. These are not rollovers. Bullshit. This is real shit. So this is extremely interesting. Should we open up above 32.52, the island is down here, and then we start rallying, so there's no question that we're going to run back up here and probably break this thing. At least a test of 4. At least. More likely that we get even higher than that one. Maybe, something all the way back to, I don't know where, maybe bottom 4, testing the highs. So really interesting Nat Gas situation. We don't want to be long right now this second because we're in the supply zone and it's a gap. It may turn over and break down. I don't really know yet. I'm just throwing this out there that, if this does open above the gap area, then we're looking at an island bottom on a weekly chart. Holy shit. I can't remember the last time I seen one of those. Okay. And that would give us a really strong buy signal. Buying any pullback into demand if that's what happens. Okay, so we'll wait for that. But yeah, clearly the 60 has turned its trend back around. It's up again now. There's the gap I'm talking about. And we open above the gap, and the rest is history. Buy the first pullback. That's no question. Target at minimum this gap, and that's more than likely going to push us backwards a little bit, and then another chance to get long again. So. Well, it would be really cool if we open outside both gaps. That would be just psychotic. See what happens. you know, the analysis for later. There are a couple of zones that are interesting for longs should this happen. There's a zone over here in the 15. You can see where we just broke out the prior highs. It's a level on level. That looks nice. You know, if we just start selling off out of the gap over here, we don't gap up. Rather, we just hang out. We open up, you know, inside where we are. This is an interesting long potential for the shot, and I would hold on to this thing and see if we start filling those gaps above us. We want to be long that gas at this point. And that's what we're looking at over here. So longs in that gas and the demand over here. And if we start gapping up and, you know, we can just leave this thing down here, buy the first pullback into demand on Monday morning, because really, really interesting shot for a swing trade all the way back to like four change. Beautiful. Okay, other than that, we'll see what that gas looks like later on in the week. Okay, cool. Let's go look at copper. Okay, so copper gives another sideways week. And taking a look at the weekly chart, we can tell down here we're getting a little doji inside the hammer candle. After hitting the bottom on the daily demand, we shoot back up and then just sort of back test the breakout and just hang out there. We're just hanging out exactly where we broke out. And everybody wait to see what happens here. It's a rally-based rally into the supply zone that was created on the breakout. We push back a little, we're holding demand over here. And now we're just going sideways on the 60. We're like range bound over here, waiting to figure out what's going on. We know that copper is extremely sensitive to any Chinese news, so all that Trump China trade nonsense is affecting copper, giving these wild swings. But it's stuck inside of a range, and therefore, for me, I don't love to trade these. Again, if you like it, there's the supply, there's the demand. Anything inside is garbage. You want to trade the range of the extremes. You know, it's worth a chance until, you know, if that's your style. Until we break out of the range, that's where we are. So hanging around in there, and that's it. So I'll open up this chart, look at the demand, and then do what you like to do. Really, not my style. Next. Okay, so there's the demand underneath us. You can see it's holding. It's created new highs. It's around 262 change, and the supply is at 268, fresh, sitting up there. Anything in between is tradable. This is non-tradable, sorry. Only inside the extremes. Okay, next. Let's go look at soy, which had an interesting week for us there after we get the USDA report. Okay, so for the week, we had a red candle on soy after this engulfing candle up here into the zone again. And we ended up closing red really because of this one big move down after the news. And it sort of pulls right back into the demand zone on the 240 and then starts to base a little bit. So if we're able to hold this level and start rallying back, that's it. We're going to break out of the top this week, and if we start breaking down, so we're going to end up, you know, somewhere lower down before we start bouncing again. So, personally, I'm looking for the longs. It has not developed just yet. Okay, we're waiting for this to give us a 60 higher low, which it looks like it has the potential to do. We can see it over here. We had this little gap opening this week or something like that over here, this thing. And there's a nice looking doji over here on the 15. We're basing right underneath it. So if we push into here, right, and then pull back and hold the bottom, I'm going to start longs, but not yet. It's not ready. Okay? We got to wait for this to sort of get rid of some of the supply up above us, start showing us a higher low over here, because this right now is a big-ass bear flag. Very well could break down. We have no idea. So something's sitting tight for now. Waiting for this thing to still start our long. How many weeks is this going on? A lot of patience with this trade. We ran it a couple of times and got T1 and then knocked out, and we're waiting for this thing to come over here. It's been weeks. I think I started talking about this somewhere back over here in October. And that's what we're looking for. So it still hasn't gotten there yet. It's almost there. And we've cleaned out the supply, that much we know, because we've got these higher lows on multiple times coming out of the zone. And we're just waiting for the breakout. I think it's potentially going to happen this week. So we're going to watch us really carefully over here for a turnaround. We had a Harami candle in the daily chart. So that's potentially something that we can look to retrace. If we start retracing this, the longs are here. It's time to get long. Right? So we just want to make sure the little time frame gets rid of the supply that's above us, and then it gives us a higher low, and then we can start our longs. Target is 10. It's actually more than that. The target is 1020, this thing over here on the weekly chart. Okay. Next. Bonds. Hope some of you are in that swing trade. Let's go look at it. Okay, so looking at the bonds, you can see we get the twins on the weekly chart off the supply zone. All right, that was the tweet that I sent out. We've hit the supply. We were looking for a back test of 144. That's our swing trade currently, and it's giving me, it looks like, an add-on opportunity. Okay, so we've hit a nice pushback over here. We're getting a little bounce on Friday into some supply. It looks like we've hit the doji level over here. We're getting an inverted hammer. It's a 60 supply zone. Potential for an add-on, and the room on down into 144 underneath us. Okay, we just hit this demand zone right over here, got hit, and as long as we continue this lower high over here, we're going to break through that, and we'll end up at 144, which is where the real demand is actually sitting. So for now, if you're short, stay short. If you're not short yet, you've gotten an opportunity to potentially join this trade. Take a look here. There's the 60 supply getting hit on Friday, right there, drop base drop. Okay, there's one more zone over here. Should this thing end up breaking up over here, I may look over here again, but it's already started to channel downwards over here on the 15, and looking like we should be able to push this down. We'll have to wait and see how it opens up later on, but once we do start breaking down, we're looking to get through here, and 144 is the exit. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Bonds on the short side, and that is the wrap for this week's webinar. Two best looking trades I've seen today are the Aussie short and the Canadian short. I like those trades a lot. They're nice, plenty of room underneath us, not expensive, beautiful zones. That's the Aussie short right there. Something I'll be waiting for tonight. And the Canadian short. And take a look at that one. That one had two levels, right? We haven't hit the first one yet. Over here on the Canadian, boom, boom. Okay, level over here, level over here. And the other thing to keep you really interesting is the nat gas. Should we really gap up tonight, take out that gap and create an island bottom on a weekly chart? That's like historic. So keep your eye on that. If that actually does happen, we'll have to talk about it. Reminder again, we're going to have the webinar on Tuesday and the live trading on Tuesday this week instead of Wednesday. All the best, and I'll see you then. Take care.